Hi, and welcome to Bible Bites. I'm Megan. Did you grow up with a favorite movie genre? For me, I loved action, adventure, and wartime movies. My husband grew up watching chick flicks with his mom and his sister. Well, today I thought we would look at a classic Hallmark type story from the Bible. Stay tuned. You guessed it, we're going to be reading through the book of Ruth. Don't worry, we're not going to read the whole thing, but I was just really encouraged reading through it recently in my personal quiet times about a week ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool story. Well, God really showed me 3 points from the overarching story, but I wanted to break those 3 points down into 3 separate Bible bites. So we're going to be in Ruth for a little bit. The first overarching theme that I saw from Ruth is that God can use us to bless others when we are struggling. So amid our struggles, we can be a blessing to others. That sounds really kind of anti-culture for today. It's not something that we usually think of, that we can be a blessing when we're in the midst of something that's like terrible. Usually we turn inwards and we're like, oh my gosh, poor me, like this is awful, how am I going to do this? Well, let's look at Naomi. She is the star character at chapter 1, which we're going to read just a little bit of her story, and I'll summarize the rest for us. So to set the stage, this is Naomi coming back to her homeland with Ruth after her husband had died and her 2 sons had died. So that's pretty tragic. It's like, sounds like the beginning of a Hallmark movie, right? It really does. It sounds like, oh my gosh, how is this going to turn around for this poor woman? So picking up in verse 20, this is Naomi talking to her fellow people when she returns home. She said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi, when the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me?" Oh my gosh, so it's pretty obvious that she's going through a really tough time. She's struggling. Naomi means pleasant, and Mara means bitter. She's like literally wants to change her name because she's struggling so much. Well, this whole chapter, that's at the very end, this whole first chapter has a whole lot to unpack. So first off, I want to look at the tragedy that Naomi went through. She got married, moved away, had 2 sons. Everybody died except for her 2 daughter-in-laws, Orpah and Ruth. And she's like, I guess I'll go back home. Like, that's pretty sad. And her 2 daughter-in-laws are like, oh, we'll come with you. Like, let us come with you. And she's like, no, like, don't come with me. So she's in the midst of the struggle. But in the midst of that, she recognizes where she's at with God. That's the first point, is she recognizes where she is with God. And that is something that we need to do when we are struggling too. Don't just focus inwardly on what our problem is, but focus on God in that, because that leads into point 2, which is how can we be a blessing to others while we are in the midst of a struggle. So what I love about chapter 1 is that Naomi's going through all this stuff, and she prays for her daughter-in-laws. She prays for them, prays that they would have a blessed life, that they would go and get married again. She's trying to be a blessing to them, and she's going through all of this stuff in her own life. What do you think it would look like if we took that to heart, and if we're going through something and we could go to a friend and be like, how could I bless you today? How can I help you? And even if they know that we're going through something or not, that can bring us so much joy in the Lord. One of the most joyful people I know is a friend who's going through a crazy health crisis for the past, maybe 3 years. And you would never know it. She is just full of the joy of the Lord because she seeks to bless others in the midst of her struggles. So that's point 2. How can we bless others in the midst of our struggles? And then 3 really kind of draws us into Ruth's part in the story, is how can we not shut people out when we are in a struggle? Ruth and Orpah both want to go with their mother-in-law back to her country. And she's like, no, don't come with me. Like, go get married again. Go back to your people. And Ruth is like, where you go, I'm going to go. Your God's going to be my God. Like, I'm coming with you. Like, that's a huge sacrifice for Ruth. But she wants to help take care of her mother-in-law, too. She says once more to, like, go on your way. And then she just stops trying. She's like, all right, you're coming with me. Like, let's go. So how can we not shut people out? Naomi's like, I'm going to accept Ruth's help and continue on, and we're going to go together back to my homeland. It's really important. I think I'm really guilty of that too. When I'm in the midst of struggles, I'm like, I don't want people's help. I want to do it by myself, or I just don't want to involve anybody because, it's an inconvenience or whatever. But you need to accept people's help. Don't let pride get in the way there. Naomi didn't let her pride get in the way of Ruth coming back with her. So stay tuned, because next week we're going to get into how Ruth going back with Naomi is actually a little blessing in disguise. If you read the whole book of Ruth already, great, you know where this is going. But if you haven't, it's such a cool book. It's so encouraging. It's really uplifting. I encourage you to read it. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.